You know, the only thing better than one Powerstroke Econoline is two Powerstroke Econolines. So I bought myself another van. So about a week ago, I got a message from an acquaintance of mine about this van, and it looked like a good opportunity. I went and checked it out, and it's in pretty good shape. There are a bunch of odds and ends that I could use off of this van. The big ones are the top, obviously, and the injectors. I'm going to try to pull the injectors both to learn about how the engine goes together, and then I'll try to send those out to have them rebuilt so that when I put them in my van, it'll be a pretty simple swap. I'm also going to be cutting the rocker panels off and welding those onto my van to repair the rusted out rockers on my van. Unfortunately, I don't think the body on this van is worth swapping. It's got too many dings, but I'm going to be able to salvage a ton of parts off of this van and then hopefully find somebody else who can use what's left. So stick with me over the next couple weeks. I'll be tearing this thing apart and I'll share the process with you. The previous owner told me that the engine actually has 700 and some thousand miles on it, but the dash was swapped, so it's got 561 on the odometer. And the interior is a total disaster. But I didn't buy this van for the interior, or even for the engine. I bought it for the top. This Drill in Anwar sticker really hit it off with the neighbors. And what's awesome is I have full standing headroom with a few inches to spare, and the top is lined, so presumably there's some insulation in there. I'll dig in and see what I've actually got to work with. First things first though, I'm just going to get it cleaned up and see how the top looks under all that moss. So I got the van all cleaned up outside, and it's looking pretty good. Quick update on progress with the new van. So I'm in the process of stripping everything that I can off of it that I might be able to use, and then I'm going to have it scrapped. So I'll give you a little tour and show you what I've done. So the engine has been my priority today. My real goal is to get at those injectors, and if I can have them rebuilt, if they're original, that might be a good option. So I've pulled a bunch of stuff out of the engine. We've got the air box and an intake. Over here I've got the fuel bowl, alternator, the turbo. So here's the fuel that I drained out of the fuel bowl. Now, what's interesting here, you can see if I stir this up, these silver flakes. This van evidently had a problem with fuel tank delamination. It was common on these model years, and you get these silver flakes in the fuel. Now I have a very, very tiny amount of that on my van, and I'm going to drop the tank and check it out, but this van, it was clearly a pretty significant issue. You can see these big flakes of silver stuff. Taking a look at the engine, it's pretty cool to get to look at this because you don't often see the details of the engine on a van. So I pulled the turbo and the Y that joins the up pipes, pulled out the fuel bowl and fuel pump. There you can see the high pressure oil pump, H-pop. Over here we've got the injector control pressure sensor, ICP. I've removed the glow plug relay. And next up, I'll pull the valve covers and hopefully get at the injectors and possibly the push rods. I did get the injectors out, and they're original, great candidates for rebuild. I got so covered in oil that I didn't film any of it, so I'll put that all into another video and show you removing injectors and having them rebuilt and putting in new ones. Something interesting here is the thermostat. This is the old thermostat body, the long curved body. In my other video I noted that the newer van, my 2002, has the short body. This is the long one. Here's the brake master cylinder. This one does have a cruise control kill switch on the bottom of it, so I'm going to possibly salvage that to use on my van to get cruise control working. Alright, it's time to start taking off the top. I'm going to start with these corners and peel the weather stripping. Alright, so I got the corner piece removed. This trim seems to be screwed into the top. I can't see how the top is actually attached to the van. And then I started taking this plastic out and it's just cracking into a million pieces, so I'll do what I can. Alright, I got it going now. Alright, I got all the weather stripping off. Now I'm going to pull those screws. I've got all the trim off, and now I can see where the top is sealed. So I'm going to run around with a knife and cut that sealant the whole way around. It's also sealed with silicone inside, so I'm going around and cutting that as well. It also appears to be riveted in place from the inside. So I was working on getting the top removed the other day, and my buddy showed up and we popped it off. I didn't take any videos during the process, but let me show you what we got. The top was a mossy mess, so I had to scrub it to clean it off. The top is actually in 3 pieces. So it has a liner, and then this cage, and then the actual top itself. Now, what's interesting is that cage was not attached to this top at all. It's just a structure for the liner and presumably some roll protection, but it's not really very much. And the brackets that attach it were pretty flimsy, so I don't think it would do a whole lot in an emergency. So I'm actually going to leave this behind, because inside you can see this top liner is about 4 inches smaller on both sides and almost a foot shorter in the front than the actual top itself. The top itself, the liner ends about here. And so all of that space is wasted unless you build it out as cabinetry, but I'd like to have that room in the van build. So that was the process. We pulled this top off, pulled it into 3 parts, stacked this back up here so we wouldn't take up too much driveway space. And now it's time to get rid of this one. I've got the donor van pretty stripped down. I cut off the rockers and this rail here. Took a bunch of stuff out of the engine, the dash, the headliner. And we hopped in to try it out and see how we want to configure the new van. And ultimately, this one is ready to be scrapped or resold. Got the parts van all ready, and it's going to the scrapper today. I've stripped everything of value to me off of this van, sold a bunch of parts, and most importantly, we got the top. He's dragging it straight up with the parking brake on. Impressive. I didn't really plan to take this project on at the start of winter, but I couldn't pass up a $1,000 parts van. Now that it's gone, I can turn my attention back to getting the keeper van ready for the top swap. Next up, I'll be resealing the gutter rails in preparation for the main event. If you found this video useful, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again soon.